Hello, hello. Testing, testing. All right, gonna try a whole new setup today and see if this works. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of the feedback that I'm hearing. All right, so I think I got everything sort of set up. I want to I'm gonna do a few things real quick. First, let me go on. Okay, I think this setup is going to be a little bit better. Um, we'll take a test and we'll see how this all goes today. Like my boys were messing with my seat. Fix everything here. All right, so the goal of what I'm trying to do today is to get. I just want to take a test of the audio. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right. I think that's working. We'll see. All right, so let's open up Unity and see what kind of damage we can do today. Just trying to get everything sort of in the right place. I have this is definitely one of my more intricate setups. I basically have, so I was running into a lot of problems with, running the video capture software on my laptop, and things were just slowing down to a halt. So basically what I've gone ahead and done is I have my PC open and I'm streaming a mirror copy of the display out to the PC capture card, and everything is being recorded on the PC. So that should make everything a little bit faster here, because there's nothing, my laptop is no longer, why is this resolution so high? My my laptop is no longer capturing anything. And so all the processing is now being done on a pretty powerful gaming PC. And then I had to hack the audio so that the microphone plays out the speaker, which goes out to the HDMI cable. Anyways, long story short is that this is a pretty convoluted setup, but it should all work. And what I want to do just before I start the Pomodoro stuff is, we have like a bunch of stuff that we need to do. I was starting to go through and add in scores and all kinds of other stuff. So let me go ahead and try to figure out a way to fix this so that we can actually get this all this stuff that I need done working today. Add back in total times as stats. We can start with adding the total times. We need a little. Generally, when I get started in the morning, I like to do a little code warm up, and the code warm up is basically just 20 minutes of just trying to get my brain like sort of working. And let me just have a drink real quick, and then we'll get started. So the goal of a code warm-up is something that I took from, I'll start it over. I'll try to explain it from scratch. Like, one of the other things I'm trying to do is get it to the point where I can also, after I do these recordings, I can cut it up and turn them into pretty clean clips, just to do some highlight stuff. So before we get started, we're going to do what I call like a code warm-up. And a code warm-up basically represents something that I used to do when I was an artist, and it would just be a warm-up. So before I would go and paint, my mentor, Peter Olson, who taught me how to paint, he would basically tell me that I had to draw for 20 minutes. And that's sort of counterintuitive. You go into a studio and you're sort of ready to paint. But his thinking was that you basically want to like warm up your brain and get it thinking. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of a code warm-up. And we're going to spend like we'll do like 25 minutes just trying to pick one of these things here and just see if we can get it to work. And one of the things I want to do is add back in the total time to the stats. So last time I was working on this, I had to pull that out because the time wasn't being calculated the same way as the other stats. So I have like a general concept in my head of how I want to fix it, but I'm not going to spend, like, this isn't like it has to be fixed. I'm just going to spend the next 20 minutes just warming up and trying to figure out if we can work on something pretty easy. So we'll start the Pomodoro clock. I'm going to open up Rider. So I'm on a Mac, and Rider is a really great cross-platform C# editor that's created by JetBrains. And I've used JetBrains products for like a long time, like IntelliJ for Java development and PHP WebStorm, or WebStorm for PHP development and for web development. So this is a pretty great IDE, and it works really well with Unity, and it works on a Mac. So all those things are why I sort of use it. So when this loads up, it has to go through and sort of analyze all the code and figure out what's going on. We're going to, like I was saying, we're basically going to go through and let's just try to figure out how to get the total time back into the stats. So if you haven't seen the game, the way that this works is, this is going to play music. Let's mute that audio. Basically, this is a very simple endless runner. You have to jump over these obstacles and you have to avoid zombies and That's basically it. It gives you some stats. So this is what we were working on last week, where when the game is over, it basically gives you stats. These numbers are fake right now, and we're going to start wiring them up a little bit later on. And what we're looking to do right now is let's go ahead and try to get it to where we can also add the time that you've been playing back into the stats. So, and there's one thing I just noticed. This app is called Pomo To Do, and one of the things I really like it is that I like doing a Pomodoro timer where I can basically block out my time in 25-minute increments and then take like a little 5-minute break. But also I can keep track of the tasks that I'm doing. So what I want to make sure is there's one thing I noticed that we broke last week, and we're going to add a sub to do, and we need to fix game over to restart game. And this way I just noticed that when the game ends, we need to be able to we need to make sure that we're able to actually restart the game, because right now I don't think that I reconnected that up for when I built this screen. All right, so the task at hand. Let me quit this and we'll quit Chrome. This audio monitor I can't get rid of. This is what's actually allowing me to hack the mic input and send it on the output. So, all right, let's take a look at the stats. Now, this class here is called the stat class, and this sort of keeps track of some generic stats that we have. One of the stats that we weren't really tracking well was the total time. And that's because the total time was actually in the stat manager, and it was calling this time elapsed to string method. And what we're going to do is the stat manager basically allows you to set and get stat values based on a string. So we're going to change the stat manager to actually give us back the time as just like we do with the other stats. So in this case, let's just duplicate this. So I'm going to do that with Command D on the line. And here we're going to call this total time. And I'm just going to set up the string to begin with, and then we will we'll figure out a way to get this to work. So we're going to call this time. And this how do we want to do this? We're going to do a few things here. First off, we're going to need to reformat this. So generate this. This is going to return a string. So let's add some to-dos here. So we need to get the millisecond time count. And then the next thing we're going to have to do is get the convert the MS to timestamp. So there's a few ways we can do this. Let's close this out and let's open up the stat manager. Now, the thing that's going to happen is that we have this time elapsed, and every time the stat manager runs, it automatically updates the time elapsed. But we want it to work within the same system as before, or as the other stats are using. So what we're going to do is here's actually, before I even get into that, here's the text that we need. From seconds value, time elapsed to string. All right, let's pull this out, and we're going to put this into the stats class, because this is a formatting thing. And the idea is that we're going to call time elapsed to string. Is this going to return a string? Right. All right. So the problem is that this is generate stat text. By default, this is automatically going to generate a string for us. Let's we're going to do some fun stuff here. First off, we're going to want to call time elapsed to string, and we're going to need to convert the string back into an int. So we'll call convert to int 64, and we'll pass in this. So again, the way that this thing has been made generic, actually what we should do is convert to, what is this, a float? Is there a, I wonder how you, I forget how you do a float. U in single to single float. Okay, there we go. Basically, the way that this class was designed is that all stats are is just a number, right? Generally an int, and then whenever we get the generate stat text, it automatically converts that stat into a string for us. So in this case, we're going to do a little more convoluted, because we're going to save out the milliseconds of the total time that the player has been running for, and then we're going to, since it automatically converts it to a string, we're going to convert it back to a float. We're going to pass it into time elapsed to string, which this class simply turns this into a time span with the value, and then it reformats it so it looks like a time, and then this will pass back out a string. And we don't need to make this static. So now all we need to do is in the stats manager, we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to update a stat value. And now instead of keeping track of the time elapsed, we're going to update this value. And what I want to make sure is that this delta time is going to be all right, we're gonna lose a little bit of this value. So simply because it's going to be a float, what we're going to try to do is, well, it says it stores it as a float. Update stat value as a float. All right, let's just try doing this. We're going to do, so update stat value time, and we're going to pass it the time elapsed. And let's see now, when we go to call time, we should get this value. I'm just kind of curious as to what this looks like as a string. We might have to do a little bit more work to get this to be cleaned up. So we'll pause this, and we see that we're getting an unknown error. Right, okay, so one of the problems we're having is that this actually converts this into a, it's going to try to format the text. So let's go back to our stats here, and instead of calling generate stat text, we're going to have to sort of do this manually. Calculate rank, or calculate rank. Huh. We got a little bit of a problem here. We're gonna have to figure out a way to pull this stat data out before we actually try to format it. So let's do this real quick before we even try to format this thing. Let's go ahead and let's just assume that it automatically is the right format and is saved as a string. And let's save it. And now rerun it. Let's just make sure we can get the total time elapsed showing up correctly. So total time is 44. So this is 44 milliseconds. And what we got to figure out how to do is how to get this time converted before we convert into a string. We got to get this to actually be formatted correctly. So now we're done, and look, we're first place at 5.962 milliseconds. So what we can do here is, why don't we just save out the value of what this would be in seconds, and instead of making it like a proper time, we'll just try to simplify everything here. So if I remember correctly, there are 1,000 milliseconds in a second. So if we divide this by 1,000, that should give us the time elapsed. So we're going to do mathf dot float should be round to int. And we're going to round this up. So now if we rerun this, we should get some seconds. So it's 0 seconds to total time 0. All right, now it's not doing anything. I might have this wrong. So total time is 0. Let's just output this and make sure that this is calculating correctly, and then we'll look into why. So time, and we'll just copy this right here. It's probably, this is probably not going to work. I do get a little bit stuck sometimes on converting floats and ints and stuff in Unity. I don't have like a terrible amount of experience with it. So, or I do have a terrible amount of experience. I've never really done it very well. So, all right. So the time is still at 0. It should be. All right. I see what's happening here. All we need to do is this. If we just simply round this value to an int, that'll give us seconds. So this game isn't very long, so having like a time where it's so let's see, that was a 6. So time, why didn't that round correctly? Huh. That's strange. Why didn't I thought this was a fraction. Huh? I'm confused. Does when time elapses, when this float gets converted to a string, does this become point? Hey, yes. Hey, clones, it's me. It's Jesse. I'm back. I'm going to do more streaming lately. It's been a while. How's it going, clones? I don't have the chat showing up on the screen, by the way. My goal is to actually cut these up into like highlight reels afterwards, so I don't want to have the chat and all that stuff on the screen. I'm actually just recording this directly to the computer. Oh yeah, you've had good success. My Twitter link's broken. Oh, perfect. I tweeted that out. I wasn't paying attention, huh? All right. Well, I'll deal with the Twitter link later. All right. Well, I need to rebuy my domain name. I had one that was just jessefreeman.tv and it went straight to Twitch, and it was a lot easier to type out than the Twitch one. What am I missing here with this time elapsed? Let's just try to do this. I'm just kind of curious if we convert this to an int. You'll have to send me time elapsed is it time elapsed already in seconds? Yeah, I'm just trying to get rid of the fraction. I was just trying to figure out the cleanest way of doing that. I can just convert it to an int, and that'll just drop off the remainder. So, all right, let's rerun this and see if we can get this correctly. Total time 5. Why is this not interesting? Why is it not saving correctly? All right, maybe it was I didn't update stats value time. Oh, you know why? I know why. Because update stats value is cumulative. So as you continue to update the value, it just increments the stat value. So all we need to do is this. And then we could probably just get rid of all this stuff. Let's get rid of time elapsed. I can't remember if anything else uses time elapsed. I guess we'll find out real quick, right? Yeah, hey, yeah, clones, give me a link to your thing and I'll check it out after the stream. Or maybe I'll do it on one of the breaks. All right, so it doesn't look like anything else is using that time elapsed. What I'm just concerned with is that it might not, it might output, oh, total time 3. Perfect. Okay, cool. I think this is, I think this is working well. Okay, so we should have the total time was 8 seconds. And again, I have to fix the restart because the game doesn't restart correctly. So, cool clones, I'll check out that link in a little bit later. All right, so we're at 8, 9, 11 seconds, and we're at 11 seconds. Okay, cool. So one thing that I think would be good to add to this generic thing is maybe we should add like a maybe I can add something here like I would like to make that as an S. I would like to add an S to it, but let's not worry about that right now. All I want to make sure is that over time we are now keeping track of the time just like we would any other stat value. And actually this is a lot cleaner than what I had before because it was sort of silly. The goal of what I'm trying to do is get these classes to be a lot more generic in the sense of this is just using a dictionary internally, and you just pass it in a stat value, and it'll just automatically keep track of it, and it can get you the stat value back as well. And now I don't have to do anything other than just call time like I normally would. My brain was sort of having a moment where I was thinking that this should probably be something like protected, because if somebody else wants to keep track of a stat time, the update would automatically do it. You know what we can do? Let's do this. Public Boolean. Yeah, let's not overthink this. Sometimes I like overthink things. This simple, like, these are just a collection of utilities that I put up on GitHub, and I basically wanted to make them generic enough that people can reuse them, but I can deal with that later. So Mr. Regs is saying maybe distance instead of time. Distance equals game object X. Yeah, I am keeping track of well, the game so the irony is I can't keep track of the distance because there is no distance. The player actually never moves. It's just time, but the other stats that I'm keeping track of are the total steps. So every time the player takes a step, that is tracked. But I think this is working fine. All I needed to do is get this total time working again, which it does. And now we are good to go. I think the other thing we need to do is I got to get this thing to restart. And I don't know why how I broke this, but let's just go ahead and let's mark this as fixed. So add back in total time to stats. All right. So that's good to go. Now we just need to figure out how we can restart the game. No, clones, this isn't 2D Game Dev's art. This is my original one. We were 2D Game Dev and I were working on a version of this like years ago, and we basically just sort of like stopped working on it. And I can't remember. There's a few things that were going on. I think it might have also been me. I moved to a different group and at Amazon, so a few things have changed since I started working on this game. So I'm back. I'm back doing evangelism again in App Store, and part of that is I wanted to try to I'm gonna try to get this game working again, but in a way that I can actually share with others. So Mike G, the To Do app is called Pomo To Do, and is there? Yeah, Pomo To Do, and it's pretty good. When it works, it's really good. But it's a task manager mixed in with a Pomodoro timer, and so I can keep track of like these are all my streams, what I've been doing in each stream, and I like it because it has some like really good stats and stuff, so it can tell me like what I'm doing for how many Pomodoros I do, how many tasks I complete, which it doesn't seem like it's tracking the tasks correctly. Maybe this is who knows, last week. And it's good to yeah, it gives me like my history and stuff, which a lot of times like in Pixel Vision 8, my game engine, I'll go through and I'll take this out and I'll turn this into my my task list, or I'll turn it into the change log for when I do releases. See, I got like another minute or so, another 3 minutes. Let's see if we can fix this this game over screen quickly. Game manager. I think there's a reset game, player action. Let's see if we can get this pause mask here to, I don't remember what's actually, let's see. The pause mask becomes visible. And if we click, we don't want it restarting the game. All right, so spacebar is broken, which I never, right now I just have it as clicks on this lighting effect screen. Let's see if we can, let's copy this component, add this component here. Paste component is new. Game manager, play action. No, it doesn't seem to like that idea. Is Paul around? Yeah, Paul is still around, but he's been heading up like the Alexa stuff. I forget what he's doing. I know he's like managing a few of the evangelists. I think they do like hackathons and stuff like that. So he mostly focuses on that. I doubt he has any time to paste component is new. I doubt he has any time to really do the streaming anymore. The big problem with the streaming is that it takes, well, there was a few things that I sort of stopped doing it for. One was I really didn't like the way that Twitch was changing around the I didn't like the way that Twitch was changing around the way the channels worked. I think now there's like a dedicated game dev channel instead of just the creative stuff. So what is blocking this? I wonder, first of all, let's just see if it's even getting called. And then we can figure out what's blocking it. I was sort of hacking this together, and it's, I need to go through and really clean this up. Player action. So, but a big part of, like, I was moving around to different groups at Amazon. One of the biggest challenges was really just button group, stats. I don't want to raycast, use graphic alpha, pause button, transition mask. I don't know what that is. So I was moving around different groups. It was just really hard. And also I was doing a lot of traveling, so it was really hard for me to find the time to... All right, so player action is getting called. We'll have to fix that. Let's just see when we die if it still calls player action, and then we'll see. All right, there we go. Perfect. Everything's restarting. So as I was doing all my traveling and moving and doing different roles in the groups, it was really hard to... it was really hard to talk and code at the same time. It was really hard for me to keep the stream up. I feel like the big part of the stream is like you got to do this sort of every day. So what I want to see is paused. Well, what am I doing? There's something here where I oh, here we go. If time scale, let's just do this. If time scale equals 1, actually here, if so now that I'm going to be doing more evangelism stuff, I'm back to doing the streaming, but I actually, like, a big part of what I want to start streaming at night when I'm not doing like Amazonish stuff is my game engine, Pixel Vision 8. So my plan is to do that. I got to go through and clean up everything and get everything sort of organized again. All right, so the last thing is, let's see if we can get these 2 little tasks for my little warm up, and then we can dig into the real stuff. All right, so you die, and you click again, and you can replay the game. All right. So let's see how far we can get. And no, the scenarios where you can't win. All right, so we got our total time in now. We can now click and restart the game, and everything is sort of running like it should again. So let's close out our tasks. So we fixed our game's restart, and we added back in the total times, and we can submit this and take a little break, which I never really seem to do. That's the other reason I don't like the streaming. I feel like I'm gonna try to bring the mic up with me. I have a new mic that's on a boom, so but I got to take it with me. It's hard to take breaks when you're streaming. But if I sit for too long, like my back starts hurting, so because I'm becoming an old man. So I think the way that I'm trying to do this now is I'm trying to get these to the point where I can record them, and that's why you're not seeing any branding or any of the text in the overlay. I'm trying to get it where I can just record the stream and then go back through later and edit them and come up with like some highlights that I can use for my site and for the Amazon blog, and see if I can just get like a little bit better at automating content creation. So I think what's going to wind up happening is I'll probably use like the breaks to talk a little bit more, but then most of the time I'll just be focused on code. I don't know. I've yet to figure out how to make like a successful and engaging stream. So we'll see. Luckily, I'm not a Twitch evangelist, so I have no real insight into what the correct process is here. All right, so while I'm standing, let's see what the next set of tasks are that we want to accomplish. So the goal of what I'm doing here, if you're just tuning in and you weren't here last week, is I'm taking an old game of mine and I'm cleaning it up, and I'm trying to make it a little bit more engaging by rewarding players for how they play the game. And this game is like really simple. There's not much to it, which is why I like it as an example. So part of it is I'm trying to clean up the code where anyone can download it and just like sort of play with it and make their own game. The other end of it is trying to make it where the game is just a little bit more engaging. So what were the things that I need to do? Make all the text load from game text, add logic to parse JSON, fix the font, create a namespace, and check the project. There's some other stuff in here that's a little bit deeper that I need to do. So just like add color coding to ranking and look into why the hex colors, right? Calculate a full score from the stats. So I think the next thing that we'll do is we'll try to figure out how to take all of these stat values and come up with a score that makes sense, that we can rank the player. And that's what a big part of this is I'm trying to add rank right now. I'll let the player run and die. When the game is over, you see I started adding in these ranks. And what we're going to do is give like a global rank. And that's what I got to figure out how to do. So it's probably going to be something like your score and then all of these other values. Well, I wonder if I can average out. What should happen, if we're actually going to clean this up correctly, is that you have all these stats, right? Your total time, your total steps, your zombies avoided. This score should be points or something. Maximum combos. I don't know. I got to look into how I calculate the score. And from how I calculate the score, I need to come up with a way of. Well, you know what? I think this score actually is the cumulative of all these other things. Let's take a look at how we calculated the score, and then we can make a much better assumption here. So let's see if we can find in this project, find in path score. remember where we increase get value score manager. So there's a score manager. Score manager. So maybe the score manager has this. Increase score, get score, calculate score. Stat manager, get score, update score value, score label. Right, okay, so increase score. So whenever we do something, we increase the score. Let's look for, let's find usages here. Huh. Hey, look, I got rated. I know, I'm very bad at, I don't have I have the chat open up on my tablet on the side, so I haven't been watching. But hey, welcome everyone. I guess I got rated. I guess the point of me not losing my train of thought is to just ignore chat. Hey, welcome Scott Makes Games. Welcome everyone. I think at some other point I got to figure out a better way of so I'm trying to like optimize like the stream in the sense of like it's actually going to YouTube. I'm using Restreamer. I wish there was a way that I can add overlays to the Restreamer, but when I record it locally, I don't have all that like overlay stuff. I'll have to look into this more. This will become like a little bit of a side project. Maybe we'll figure it out on the stream live. But all right, so if you're just joining, what I'm trying to do is add some score rankings to a very simple endless runner that I wrote a few years back. And I'm just looking at how I calculate the score. So here's the score. I don't know. Let's go back and take a look at the game real quick here. So what I got to figure out is, does it really even matter if you have a global rank? Or can each of these stats just be your rank? Your global rank. I mean, I guess we could take the score, the time you've played for, because I don't think when we calculate score is based just on actually doing objects. It's based on your the score is based on performing an action, so it's not cumulative, like by the steps. I mean, I guess what we could do is every time we do a stat value, we can increase the score so that your final score is always what gives you your global rank. All right, so that's what we should do. Like every time you step, every time you step, we should increase the score by 1. Every time we avoid a zombie, we should increase the score by a certain number. Jumped obstacles, so any one of these. And then the combo is going to, as we're getting the score, increase it, and then zombie dogs avoid. Yeah, okay. I think that's the approach that we should do. So before I forget that, let's come in here and let's add another task here. So calculate the full score from all the stats. Instead of doing this, what we'll do is we'll just add little sub to-dos. So each stat should increase score. Final score used for global rank. All right, so that should work. So let's go back, and now I just got to figure out where the hell I calculate all this stuff. What is that task manager? Oh, yeah. This is the one thing I don't miss from the stream. I don't mind answering the questions, but like, as soon as new people come back in, everyone asks the same question over and over again. This is a Pomo To Do, and it's a Pomodoro timer and task manager. So, okay, let's start really basic, and let's go to the stat manager. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at every time that we increase a stat, we're going to find all of the usages. So yeah, Pomo To Do is pretty good. They've had some moments where it's like a little rough. Like the UX used to be a little better. It used to be like you could see all of the subtasks here in this view. I don't know why they broke this out into a pop-up. It's really kind of annoying, but it's been the best so far, and it's cross-platform, and it syncs across multiple computers, and blah 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 blah. So it's sort of worth the price of admission. I think one day I'm going to sit down and build my own task manager / Pomodoro timer for developers. But until that day, let's go ahead and figure out what is updating the stat value. So there's a door trigger. What is... I don't even know it's using the door trigger. Stats manager. On trigger. Where is this code from? Class door trigger. We don't even use doors in this game. Let's see if we can get rid of that. Where's the door trigger? There is a door. Let's look in the prefab. So part of red door, box collider, destroy door trigger. I don't remember what the hell the door trigger does. I think this is from a different game. Well, this is from a different incarnation of this game. Message, shutdown, on trigger, exit, player. Huh. Can you actually like go into a door? Maybe I like was thinking about that at some point of adding. I don't think I'm even spawning any red doors. Well, there's a door. But I don't think I'm spawning any red doors. I'm going to get rid of this door trigger thing. I want the game to just be... Like, am I using this guy anywhere? Sound manager, TV2, zombie dog, regular door. Right, there's no door trigger. All right, I'm going to get rid of this door, red door, and let's delete the red door, and let's get rid of the door trigger. The only reason I'm doing this is because there's just a lot of code in here, and I want to pare this thing down into a really simple game. So once I get all the features in, then I'll go through and I'm just going to clean up all the code. Hopefully this doesn't break anything. Let's just run this real quick. Yeah, I think a lot of people want to build their own to-do task list Pomodoro time. I've seen the gamified ones before. They're pretty interesting. I don't know if I could. Like, I don't need to be gamified. Like, just doing tasks is enough. But what I need is I need like part project management, part Pomodoro thing. So what I would like to do it is more like a Scrum or Scrum type one where you sort of put in all the tasks you want to do, and then you are given an allotment of Pomodoros for the day, and you want to just like say, okay, I'll do this, this, and this during this Pomodoro, and then try to do it. And then if you don't complete it, it gets moved into the next Pomodoro. So I think that the Pomodoro timer is really the key, though, is that, I mean, I've been so bad about it over the past like few years because I've been so focused on just trying to like write code and stuff. But being able to take that break, I think is sort of critical. Okay, so this is, so I removed that. I was trying to find, right, so update stats values. I'd come across one class that I just didn't want in here anymore. So here's the jump. All right, so this is where it keeps track of the jump combo, the player footstep, and the position manager. All right, let's take a look at steps taken, because this is a pretty easy one. This is where stats manager updates this. What we should do is, here's the stats manager. Let's get the score manager. And here we're going to return game object singleton utility score manager. So every time we increase the footsteps taken, we'll do stats manager. We'll do score manager. Increase score, and the value we'll just do by 1. So here's the trick. What's going to happen is that because we're routing all of the score stuff through the score manager's increased score, it's going to take into account the bonuses. So as our combos, so as we do more things, we're building up a combo meter, and the combo meter is what's going to help increase our score. So our score should be increasing by like 1 step every time. There, we died. All right, so let's just keep running. So we'll see that our score sort of gets increased. And let's get a combo going. So now we'll get even more points per run or per step until we die. Okay. And the goal of what we're trying to get is that the score at the top is your final score. All of these stats help contribute to it, but I don't want to have to add all this up at the end. Every time we increase a stat, we're just going to add it to the score. So one thing I just want to make sure is play footstep, update, set boolean. Where are we playing? Oh, we're playing footstep. See, this is where Unity sort of drives me nuts. All right, let's go into the animation. Oh, where's the window? Where's the animation? Here's animation. And if I remember correctly, if we look at the prefab for the player, and let me pull up one of these animations here. Player run animation. So right here, we're calling play footstep. So every time this foot goes down, we call that method, and then that method passes the score value and keeps track of the stats. So I've tied that callback into the animation itself. So all right, so that works for right now. Let's just go with that. So every time we step, we increase the score. And now what we want to do is let's get other zombies, right? So let's look at the other places where we call this update score value. So I don't know what this position manager does. Trigger. Update stat value. What is this stat value? Position manager. Use of position managers were not found. Fixed update, trigger. Where does this guy live? All right, let's see if we just kill this script if it breaks anything. Because what current position less than target position, transform position, fixed update, find tag, singleton score man. I think the position manager was keeping track of when you moved around, but since the guy isn't moving around anymore, this might just be, again, legacy code. Like, let's look in the prefabs at the player. If I like removed any scripts here. Invincibility, palette swap. All this stuff looks good. Okay, let's rerun the game and see. All right, well, score's increasing. We'll play a little bit. Oops, doesn't help when I die. So we got our score, our total steps, zombies avoided. All right, so looks like that script can be pulled out of the game as well. I mean, a lot of what I did was I took code from games that I had laying around and just sort of injected them into this simple endless runner. So trying to fix that would help. The script on this behavior, game chair, is missing. I just noticed a little warning at the bottom of the screen. We'll have to go see what that is all about. All right, I just want to make sure that zombies avoided 0. So something is going on where the zombies avoided aren't being calculated. So let's double check that too. All right, so I want to pull out this position manager. So position manager. And let's close this out of here. And let's delete this. And we'll rerun the game one more time. I mean, this is sort of how I do a lot of my refactoring anyways, is that I, game object zombie is missing. Reference in the script behavior. I wonder if I just deleted something that actually was being used on these zombies. Whoops. Prefab chair. Cool. I removed that from... that was keeping track of whether the zombies should add a score. Oh, I get it. I see what I did wrong. Okay, let's undo that. That's fine. We can fix that. So there should be a... if I look at the... let's look at the local history. And I'll just pull that back. Position manager. How do I restore this in here? Revert selection. Reverted to external changes. Position manager. And let's, oops, let's... Why can't I get rid of, there we go. Okay, let me just revert all that stuff. 2D heroes. Hey man, no host notifications. I know I need to clean up. I just got this sort of running right now, and I got to figure out a better way of capturing. What I was saying earlier is like I don't have any like notifications. I don't have any like animation or anything on the screen because I'm trying to get these. I'm trying to record the pure experience because afterwards I want to go and clean it up and use it for like highlight videos, but I don't want to have all the like Twitch UI stuff that I normally put around it. So I got to figure out a better way of doing that. It's been a while. I'm rusty here. Let's see if we can get these. Let's see if we can get this score stuff to work correctly. All right. So the obstacles are still giving me this problem. I screwed this up. Nothing selected. Associated script cannot be loaded. That stinks. I really broke this. Why can't... Let's take a look at what this... What was that... Now I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Andrew. Position... okay, I didn't restore it. That's why. Where... I'm missing a screen here. Windows, editor tabs. There we go. Okay, I want to fix something here. Player animation manager. Why is this throwing an error? I want to restore scripts. Position manager. All right, let's go to scripts, edit, show history. I can do the notification as an extension over the video player itself and not the embedded in your stream. Yeah, I gotta sit down and really figure that one out. I'll get to it. Right now I'm trying to undo this mistake I made. Position manager. If anything, we need to just like, I'll copy this. Let's close this out and see if Unity needs to rebuild this position. There we go. Okay, I restored position manager. Thank you. Thank you, Ryder, for your local history. It's a lot better than having to like rely on Git all the time, especially for something simple. Okay, so I restored this class because like an idiot I thought I wasn't using it. Prefab chair. Here we go. Stats label obstacle. Okay, I see. All right. So basically, when one of these when a position of an object goes off screen, I use this position manager to calculate whether it's actually been triggered, right? So now total zombies avoided 1, right? So I could track basically everything. Obstacles jumped over. I could do obstacles avoided and all that stuff. Okay, hey, look, I actually wrote something really good early on. Like developers, like naturally, I feel like whenever we see code, we're like, this is broken. We need to just rewrite it because we don't know how it works. And that's even true of like when you write it yourself. I'm constantly rewriting my own code, thinking I didn't know what I was doing originally when I did it. So let's see here. All right, so we're now increasing the score by a good amount. Let's take a look at how we can make sure that we're getting points for this stuff. So here's the position manager. We're increasing the stats value, increase score. All right, so it's automatically increasing the score. What we want to do is, right, and we have a value. Man, I'm like, I actually had this set up pretty good. So here, zombies. So the position manager, the value for a zombie should be like what? Like 10, right? And a zombie dog value should be 20 because they're a little hard to jump. And then all these obstacles, a door we don't have, the couch. It's funny, I could actually track things pretty granular by giving this setup. Basically, whatever the stat label is, it just it automatically increases that stat on a dictionary by this key and this value. So let's do this. Whenever like a chair will be 2, a couch will be 5, doors are nothing, regular obstacles. These are probably just generic obstacles. This is 0. Player, sound manager, a TV should just be like 2. TV 2 should be 2. A zombie was 10, a zombie dog. And then the mob is its own little thing. And we'll save this. And now if we rerun this, the score should start going up a lot more now. So as we avoid obstacles and they go off the screen, our score will increase. I'm going to fix that font because I need a monospace font because it jumps around too much. All right, cool. So the only thing that's going to be a problem is that the score is probably going to get really, really high. Let's do one real round. I'm going to stop talking and focus on jumping over zombies and see what we can get to. Oops, that wasn't my best run, clearly. I do like that when you, like, there is a little bit of strategy and balance here. Like when you land on something, you're no longer getting points. Maybe what we'll do is we'll add a little bit, we'll have to add some text or something that explains why you're getting points. Or maybe like furniture and stuff. It doesn't really give you, you just get the points for jumping over it. But all right, so our combo is getting pretty high now. Whoops. You lose your combo when you land on something. I think this is fine for right now. There's just nothing that tells you why you're getting points. So we should probably add something that like tallies up your points. So at least it's just a little clearer. But I do have to fix this. Next, I'm going to have to fix this font because this font's driving me nuts. Okay, so that works. I think we're getting the score correctly now. The last thing I wanted to do was, let's close this back out. Where does that screen go? Why is that? Like when I minimize that, it should pop back up. Is that this? There we go. That's what I wanted. Interesting. All right, stats. I was looking at the stat manager. Whenever we increase a stat, we want to, or it's actually the stat manager here. Whenever we increase a stat, we want to make sure we're giving the player a score. So let's find the rest of the usages. So we did the position manager, the player animation, and jump. Let's go into jump and just make sure that here's the stat manager. So if input stays running, I forget how we calculate if we're jumping over an object. Reset jump combo. All right, well, we're not going to give the player points for jumping. Do I track that? How many jumps? Do I track how many jumps there are? Total steps, obstacles jumped over. 1. No, those count as zombies jumped over. Ah! All right, let's see if we can get 1, 2, 3, 4. Obstacles jumped over. 3, 4. Then I died. All right, so we jumped over 4 obstacles. So where am I keeping track of that? This is just the jump combo. There must be another place where I'm keeping track of this. Achievement manager. Update stat value. Achievement times stat name. All right, we can work backwards and figure this out. If we look at the score manager, we can look at the label for what's going on here. Wait, why is this score? Wait, stats. Let's look at the stats. Let's look for the label. Obstacles jumped over. Interesting. Why is... Edit. Let's find this here in the... Oops. Crap. Let's find in the path where we call obstacles. Obstacle spawner. I don't remember where I calculate the obstacles. Let's see. All right. Well, my Pomodoro is done. Let's just log what I worked on so far. Well, what have I worked on? Let's see. We worked on. I feel like we've done this. Each stat increases the score, and we're still calculating the final score. And calculate the full stat for this. So, okay. So we're still working on the score stuff. But I got to figure out right now is what is contributing to obstacles. And what I can't tell is if this... I may not actually be accurately keeping track of how many obstacles you jump over. So let's see if we can keep track of this real quick without dying. So this is 1. All right, that was, and this should be 2. So I am tracking that somehow. So how are we tracking this? Let's look back at the position manager and see. There's a lot of ways we can debug this. Again, this is just one of those things where like I don't remember how the hell I wrote this code. So if target position X is less than this, what does this trigger? All right, let's just debug this and see. Let's see. So now every time I believe when an obstacle is past the All right, it helps that we have the console out so we can see this. It looks like anytime an obstacle is to the left of the player, we trigger this. Ooh, what is this? What called this? Restart spawner. Uh-oh, I might have deleted something. That's not good. Position trigger, position trigger, position... Okay, so right. So anytime the player moves past an object, it is counted as jumped over. And since all that stuff are... All right, I see what's going on here. So, all right, so technically we are increasing the score every time something is jumped over. So all the stats should now be accounted for. Let's see. Let's double check this real quick. So we have the total time, we have the total steps taken, we have the zombies avoided, the obstacles jumped over, the maximum combos, which we're not adding a score to, and zombie dogs avoided. So now, get a combo of 5. 2, 3, whoops. That should have been a combo of... All right, when you're invisible... I need to go back and figure out what is throwing this null exception. Prefab vector boolean restart at. Let's take a look at this code here. Recycle script get component recycle game object. Why would that prefab be null? And what is using this script? Game objects util. I might have broken some of my prefabs here. Body part. Let's make sure there's no missing scripts. Palette swapper, fine. Door. If you're just tuning in, I'm working on a little endless runner in Unity, just trying to get the stats and the scores to be a little bit better. I'm noticing some weird issue where I was throwing a null. Let's take a look. My voice crack. What am I, like 15? Let's take a look at the console and see what actually throws that error. There's a zombie. Here's the table. Whoops, I also have to, like, not die. There's a dresser. There's a couch. Oop, I think it was the dresser. Let's see if that dresser goes and throws another null error. Nope. All right. Well, this is the fun part of debugging a game. It's just going through and playing it and trying to make sure that we see what throws the error and how to capture it. So 2 TVs went by, some zombies, a couch, trash can, a crate. I think it's that dresser for some weird reason. Nope. Maybe the dog? Let the dog run by? I don't know. Maybe it's just a weird random thing. So, so the next time that happens, what we'll do is we'll throw in some sort of condition to look to see if the prefab is null. So I think that's what the line that was giving me the error is. It was giving me something on a prefab. Let's try, you know what? Let's try starting the game from scratch and playing and seeing if that causes the issue. Maybe it's something where, like, the first time a game object's initialized, it just doesn't have a reference to being destroyed. Oh, and it just happened. What was that? Like a couch? Obstacle. All right, well, the best we can do is there's clearly something here where this prefab is set to null. I bet you I know what it is. Let's go to the object spawners and take a look. Because I bet you the door spawners... Number, special prefab. Yeah, I got rid of the red doors. And, why did I delete them? Prefabs, door. Let's just create a new red door. They had like some sort of trigger on them I wasn't really too keen on, so there should be another red door around here. I think I added these in just for like just to add some variety. So let's go back to our door spawner and we'll add the red door. So what was happening was that the spawner was trying to spawn a red door that doesn't exist. See, like, there's no real secret to debugging, but what I will say is that after like 20-something years of like professionally coding, I can sort of figure out at this point like what I'm doing that's screwing things up. But there's a red door. Hey, look at that red door. I guess I wanted some variety. So now I at least know what I'm doing wrong. All right, so that looks good. At least we have a red door. I think I'd add something where like maybe it gave you a bonus, but I just took that out. But I don't track that stat. Right now I'm trying to get to where you're only getting points for things that you track, because now I'm gonna move this score to the bottom, and it'll look like it'll look like it actually like makes sense how it's adding everything up. So the red door spawns. Yeah, now the red door spawns. I had taken that out. Let me. I also want to see what am I calling that updates the stat? Right. Okay. Let's get rid of this, and we can get rid of this, and now we can get rid of our notes. And so let's clean up this thing real quick. I'm gonna add this in here as our list, our task list, but use string for update stat display. So whenever you're dealing with like a lot of string stuff, you should really use a string builder. So I'm gonna go through and let's figure out where the start is here. Let's private. So in string builder in C#, a string builder is a much quicker way of working with strings. So if you're concatenating lots of string text, it actually like slows it down and encourages some garbage collecting. Since this stuff's happening sort of at the end of the game when you pause, it's not terribly noticeable, but I wanted to just make sure that we still have like clean code. So when we get started, we're going to create a new, when we start this class, we're going to create a new string builder. And whenever we go to update the display, we're going to clear. I can't remember. I don't think that, like, the only way to do this is set the length to 0. And then from here, let's go ahead and I was thinking I could put this all into like some sort of dictionary, but it's just not going to be worth it. So all we're going to do here is append, and I'm just going to copy out this text and clean it up. A lot of this is the old way I was doing it. This is the last way I was doing it. This is the correct way to do it. So before we really delete any of this stuff, let's just we'll just copy all of this stuff out here. So this will be a mess, but I just want to make sure I have it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll paste this here, and then so like writer adds like a few extra. Oh, whoops! I don't need this extra generated text. There we go. Writer adds a few extra parentheses sometimes when it's trying to close things. So I'm just going to make sure that we just by hand clean this up. It's my lovely Poker 3 RGB mechanical keyboard you're hearing. All right, so all these stats now are good to go, at least this part. Let's delete this stuff. And then we'll go here and we'll do the same thing here. So we're going to do append. And this is a problem. I need to, I was using a line break at the beginning, and I wonder if there's a way I can SB copy to equals remove replace get type. I can't remember if there was a append format. Let's consult the Google Oracle. Let's see if we can add the text to the beginning. String builder, pre-append a line. Insert 0. There we go. All right, so insert n, and we'll put this at the 0 position. Did I do that correctly? What was the API? Insert, my dyslexia hard at work. There we go. So in this case, what happens is that when the game was over, we added a break at the beginning because it helped push the text down and center it a little bit cleaner. So now what we need to do here is sb.append, and let's append this string, which gives us the current task. And if the game is over, we're going to do SB append, and we'll just do the regular text. So before I start moving around the stat stuff, and the text field basically will do SB dot to string, which will return the string value, or will return nothing. That updates our display. Okay, so let's go back into Unity, and let's just make sure we didn't break the stat display. And then once we have that done, we'll just clean up the order of it so it looks like it's actually building correctly. So here's our score, our total time, total steps, zombies avoided, obstacles run, max combo, zombie dogs avoided, and our current task is to jump over 2 zombies. All right, so let's die, and then when we die, we'll take a look at our score as well. Boom. So everything is ranking correctly, and our global rank is this. So this is what we want to, this is the thing that we're going to do that's, we're going to sort of clean up. What I think I'm going to do is, I won't show the final score. Well, maybe what we can do is we'll just get this, we'll get the, we're going to move the score to the bottom so that all of these things add up to a final score. We'll call this final score. And then when we do the rank, we'll pull this second place and we'll just highlight it here so it's a little bit clearer what your final rank is. So let's see. We don't need this. All right, so we're going to put the score here, but what I want to do is, if this is the game over, if this is not a game over, we're going to just put this as the current score, right? If this is the game over, we're going to call this final score. And then what we want to do is we're going to pull the rank for the final score, which is calculate rank right here. And we will, when we concatenate, your rank is and the stat here is going to be score. All right, so you will be in whatever place, right? So let's take a look and see if this runs correctly. So right, so the game is still running. You're just going to see whatever your score is in the stats menu. And when the game is over, we're going to call it final score. So here we go. You can see your total score. So you have total time, total steps, zombies, blah, 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 up to your score. Now, we'll play the game. Let's get a score for a little bit here. All right, and now we'll have your final score is this, and your global ranking is your 8th place. Now, these two numbers don't match up because it's just randomly calculating a value. But now our stats are pretty much cleaned up. And what I want to do is, the next thing on my list is to try to figure out why colors aren't displaying correctly on these. I don't understand Unity's like text stuff. It's like really... Oh, maybe it was because... Oh, is that what it was? FF00? I don't know. The text like doesn't... FF00. I don't know why the font, like the font color stuff doesn't work correctly. How do we write this stuff? Let's take a look at this real quick, because Unity has like its own way of, it's not really HTML, it's just sort of like some sort of tag thing. FF00FF /color. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to change the color, because clearly you could see that this doesn't do anything. But that should be magenta. FF 00000. Is this not set to rich text? Unity rich text color tag manual rich text. Cool. Tell me it only supports those colors. Set the color of a text parameter. The color can be specified in traditional HTML format. You mean hex, where the letters correspond to a pair of hexadecimal digits. Another option is use the name of the color. This is easier to understand, but naturally the range of color. Okay. So, is that what I'm missing? Should it not have this? Wow. Wow, Unity. You're awesome in so many different ways. Look at that. You shouldn't put this in quotes because it doesn't know anything. Cool. All right, so now we've solved that mystery. Now we can go back to actually having some interesting stuff here. Let's go into our text and let's change generate stat. Now, what I wanted to do is when we generate this stat, I wanted to add, this is the padding. Let's do string color. And we're going to make the color equal to, what was the default color we had here? We'll just make it FFF00. Well, that's one thing that's interesting. All right, let's do this. The default color is going to be just, well, it should just be white. FFFF. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is white. Last time I checked. And then here, where we get to the rank color, this should be FFFFFF. what I was trying to get to is this point of if you get into first place, if rank equals 1, we want to make the color, we'll just do FF00FF, which is magenta. No, let's do pound FFFF00, which is red, just for right now. And let's make that a string. Let's remove the inner commas so that this works. Can't believe that was the problem. Unreal. All right, so now we can pass in a color. So now when we generate our text, we can pass in the time. Let's do this in a padding of 6. And I want to get how is this generated here? Generate text. So the label is that, and the color is white. I'm just trying to remember how the hell here was the default color. Okay. So what we want to do is the default color for setting the rank is going to be this color. And now back to where were they setting all the different colors? I can't like focus when the screen is this big and like the font is like, what is it, set like 28 so you guys can read it. It's like I'm just like lost in my code. I wish Rider would add in the thing where you could see like a summary of the code like I have in like Sublime or in Atom, and so I could see like all the code. Maybe I'll write them and ask for that feature. So here, right, is this completed? Archive color. Well, let's just try to do this real quick like this. I'm gonna have to redo all this text stuff because none of this is working the way that I want it to right now. So now that I think I figured out how to fix colors, we'll see. We'll set the colors right now, and then I'll go back through and fix all this. I just want to make sure that all the colors are ranked correctly. Blah, I can't even speak. All right, we rerun this. We look at our stats. So everything is gray, good. And then when the player dies, right, so our rank is 11th place, which we can fix. And then, okay, cool. So now this is finally working. So when you're first place, it shows you a gold or yellow. I swore I made that red, but hey, look, happy accident. So now what we want to do is I want to get the final score. I want to make this text red and this text red, and then this will be color coded based on that. So how do we want to do this? So final score, let's change the color and we'll make this color FF00, FFF00. I swear that that's supposed to be red. What am I like? Oh, it's FF00. All right, so that'll make red. So now the final score will show in red, or at least the label of it will show in red. I don't know. I mean, I guess at some point I'll go through and clean up the design so this is like sort of consistent. I just want to make sure that the functionality is there, and then later on I could go into Photoshop and figure out how I want all the colors to look. All right, let's jump over these guys. And now, right, we have a jump over 4 zombies is our current task. And now when we die, our final score should be highlighted in red. Right? Our rank is 8th place. And our global rank is 4th place. Now, let's make global rank in red as well. So where was I setting that text? So the global rank is going to be FF0000. And we can get rid of this and this. So now this will be in red. And then here we'll calculate the rank. And we should do one last thing. We should do string what I'm trying to do is when we calculate the rank, because we're reusing this code a lot, I want to make sure that it's actually that we can pass in a color so that at the very end when we give you the global rank, we can change that to just white. Because down here at the bottom, this whole thing should be, this should be in red, and then calculate rank and place should be white. So that would be pound FF. And now we'll replay this one more time. I mean, the only place where it would make sense, like maybe we'd want to make it yellow at the end, but I don't know. It's like too much color stuff that we're dealing with right now. So, okay. The goal is just to have like at least some visual hierarchy to the scoring. So, all right. So here our total time, we ranked 1st place there. If we're past 10th place, it basically starts just graying out the place, and we have final score. Your global rank is 5th place. So there we go. I mean, it's not the prettiest thing ever, but at least it gives you some attention, so you can see where you score, what place you score. This should not have the parentheses. Let's fix calculate rank so that it doesn't include parentheses. What this should return though is, yeah, okay, I see what I'm doing here. Whatever, we'll just template equals. All right, so let's start getting into some of the string format. Now, I never remember how this stuff works, so let's go to C# string format. I should look at the .NET Perl. I like the .NET Perl site. If this comes up for you, a lot better than the other one, than the actual docs. This is, all right. Let's get. Should be something like this. Basically, we're going to pass in a string template, and then here, when we go to calculate the string. How do I want to do this? Like if we were clever, what we would do is we'd create the whole thing as a string template and just pass it in, and then that string template would include the color. Let's just see if we can get how do we do this again? String dot format. Template add. Let's see if we can get this with parentheses and without parentheses, and then we can go back in and we can do some more complicated stuff. There should be string format ratio. string format. Yeah, this should work. Okay, we're gonna see if we can get this to display with the parentheses and without the parentheses. So I'm just trying to make this. I'm trying to make this a little bit more reusable, because I imagine I'll just be using this in a lot of games. So we'll see how we can make this a little bit cleaner. So right now you're not going to see any rank until we die, and then we'll know this works if the rank has all the parentheses, right? So all of them have the parentheses. What we're trying to do is get rid of the parentheses down here. So now when we calculate the final score, we're going to pass in calculate rank. We gave it a color, and then, whoops. Now we'll pass in a new template, and the new template is simply going to be 0 place. And we'll add in those new line breaks separately. So let's see if we can now just pass in the word place and use the string format. String format's actually really powerful. I use it in Pixel Vision 8 a lot. But I only started really recently learning how to use it. Here we go. So 13th place. So now we've gotten rid of the parentheses. So we can go back later and we can clean this up. Like ideally, we can create a template for like all the stat stuff where we pass in a label, a value for what it got, and then the place. The only thing that's tough is because I'm dynamically changing the color of the place. I wouldn't want to. It's just like passing in too many colors. So we'll have to figure that out later. But I think this is pretty good right now. All right, and then we can restart the game. So, all right, so this is looking good. I think that here's what I want to do now. We're gonna take a little break. I just need to stand and stretch a bit. There's one thing I wanted to add here, which is create interface and test class for score for getting rank value from server. All right, so now that we're done, let's go ahead and we've calculated the full score from the stats. The final score is used for the global ranking. We've used String Builder to update the stat display, and we've looked into why the hex colors don't work on ranks under 10. Add color coding to rank first is orange. Yes, we've added this. And add buttons to game screen over restart. We've done this. We can now restart the game correctly. So yeah, so that just took care of a whole bunch of different issues. Thanks, Andrew. Have a good one. I gotta start watching your stream again. I gotta get back into the whole. Sorry, I'm gonna bring in the mic with me if it gets a little noisy. As I stand up and try to stretch, I gotta start getting back into the whole. Like I had a whole process for doing the Twitch streaming, and I really got out of it, and I actually really like this. I mean, seems to be like people are watching today, which is always a good feeling. And once I get this game done, I'm gonna start moving over to some Pixel Vision 8 stuff, which I think you guys might find interesting. That was like another reason for like the past 2 years I've been working on my own little game engine. It's a fantasy game console, and I'll pull up a link to it. It's on itch, and I'm going to have some other. I'm going to set up the site very soon for it, but basically it's just a little 8-bit game engine that lets you build like fantasy games, but you can also build Nintendo games in the sense of like you can set the limitations to be like a Nintendo. So if you just go to pixelvision8.com, it'll automatically resolve to the itch page, and these are just a whole bunch of little demos and stuff. So Andrew, who is 2D Heroes, who was just in the chat, he made the artwork for a lot of the demos. Oh, the sound's going to go. Is there sound for this one? I don't think there's any sound for this. Let's see if Chrome decides to load this up. So like, this is a really old version of of the tile map demo. The new one actually scrolls like horizontally and vertically and has like some better layers stuff. But he did the artwork for this, which his artwork's really amazing. You should go check his stuff out. And yeah, the game engine's pretty good. It's taken me, like I said, 2 years to build this thing out. But now that it's built, I'm hoping to start just making little fun games with it. And the other cool thing is that you can actually write these games in either Lua or C#. There's like a standalone editor for Lua. I'm probably going to build a bunch of little games in C# just in Unity. And a lot of the code that I'm writing right now, I'll just start moving over into my Pixel Vision 8 games. So, all right. This is running. I haven't even checked the time yet. What time is it? Oh, wow. It's almost 11 o'clock. It's almost lunchtime. Just checking through my emails. If anyone has any questions, now's sort of a good time. There was a bug when I scrolled. Skulls on the border. It shifted upwards. Yes, there is a bug in that demo. That's been fixed. So, like I said, it's a really old. That's a really old version of the demo. I need to go through and update all the examples. I'm actually at the end of the month, my goal is to have a beta release of it. So I've been working on getting the SDK, which is, by the way, if you want to just play around with it without any of the other stuff, there's if you just do Pixel Vision SDK.com, that'll take you to the Git page, and here you'll see I have like a Unity runner. This is the really old example. If you wanted to use the Unity runner, you should look at the new branch. But yes, Andrew, you should build an example game for it. We got to talk. I got to message you. I saw your message yesterday. I just didn't get a chance to message you today. But this is the C# SDK, and it's sort of designed to work in Mono. You can use I forget what the other one is. OpenTK. So anything that runs C#, basically you just have to write an adapter. So I have a Unity adapter, and I'm working on a Mono game one as well. There's also an old project just working on with somebody to get it to run in C++ to port the whole engine over. But long story short is you can basically just write this stuff in C#, and the core of it's all open source. The only thing I charge for are the tools, the standalone little fantasy console editor. But yeah, I'm looking forward to making some games for that. So now that I've rambled and basically given you an unsolicited commercial for my game engine, what we should do is I want to clean up some graphic stuff, and I want to clean up the interface for doing the scoring stuff. So what we'll do, and then we'll also test out that we can actually we'll commit all this back to GitHub, and then I'll make sure that when you check out the project, it actually runs. I was running into some issues earlier. So let's start by now that my next Pomodoro is running, we'll save our changes, and I want to get rid of some of these console log traces. We don't need this stuff. On level was found on Lean Tween. This message has been deprecated and will be removed in a later version of Unity. All right. Where is that? All right, it's going somewhere that doesn't. Whatever. Okay. Sometimes I have no patience for Unity. Let's clear this out. I'm also gonna just hide the comments and the warnings. I just want to see errors. So, all right. So if you're just tuning in, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back through and try to get this game. We're gonna try to clean up a few things here. The first I want to do is, now that we have the score working correctly, that we're showing the stats correctly, and we're getting rank correctly, I want to go through and create a very simple class. I need to connect this up to a database so that we can actually do the ranking correctly. Now, I'm not going to do that part. I'm actually going to hand that over to a coworker, Peter, who goes by Peter.games. I think he's part of the Twitch team that we're members of, but I don't really know how all that works. I just know I joined it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a interface for retrieving for basically going to the server, passing it a user ID, retrieving a score based on the stat, and getting what their rank is. Then what we'll do is, I'm not going to connect all that up. I'm going to hand it over to Peter and he's going to do it. And then what we'll do is, once that's connected up, we'll sort of walk through how the code works. I just need to make the sort of like dummy class for it. And then once we do that, then we'll start cleaning up some visuals, and that'll probably be a good place for us to stop for the day. So where do we start? Well, let's go back into our code here, and in our solution, we have managers, UI, utils. Now, I haven't really cleaned up any of this code, but what we're going to do is, where is position manager? Just trying to think of the best place to put this. We have a score manager. And then there's a stat manager. How do we want to do this? It's hard to sort of walk through all of the thoughts that I'm having. Like basically, like long story short is, I want to be able to get this to the point of where when I hand this over to Peter, he can just swap out this one class. But I'm not sure that the class actually needs to be in this project, because that should all be like a separate project. So I've been playing a lot with submodules, and oops, cancel. Where do we want to put this code? What's also weird is I don't see the stat. All right, here's the stats manager. Here's the other manager. Here's a score manager. Let me take a look at the score manager real quick and just see if the score manager has increase score, get score, calculate score. All right, first off, I want to move the score manager into the achievements, managers, sound, time manager, transition manager, and this combo manager. I don't know, we'll do that later. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just create a simple class and we'll go from there. So add, we're gonna call this class online rank. Right, and from here, let's also create a public interface, and we'll call this, this is where I can't spell anything. Just want to make sure I spelled the word retrieve correctly. I retrieve rank. So what should this interface do? All right, so the goal of what we're going to try to do right now is, let's create a class that sort of understands how to get online rank, and we're going to retrieve that online rank from some sort of server. Now, I don't know what that server is. We're just making sort of like a dummy class right now, and we want to make sure that I online rank implements the I retrieve rank. So one of the things that we want to do for retrieving rank is we're going to get rank, and we're going to need to pass in a string, so user ID of some sort. We want to pass in a string for the stat label, and then we want to pass in, what's the other thing we want to pass in? The value, right? So this is we'll do this as a float. Oops. This is the value that the player has achieved, and what we're going to return back is an int. And so basically, whatever the user session is we're going to get some sort of user ID that whenever the person is playing the game, we'll have a unique ID for that person. Then we're going to say like, hey, we need to know what is this person's rank for Zombies Jumped or final score, right? And then we'll pass in, this is what their score is, and then we'll have it return back a value that represents the actual rank. Now, the server-side stuff can do whatever it wants. Like this class here, whenever we retrieve this, it might actually just write it to the server. So we can say like, hey, this person has gotten this score. Let's write it to the server. Then we call get rank. But for right now, we just want to be able to call retrieve rank. So this is giving us an error because we're implementing this interface. And let's implement the missing members. And by default, it's going to throw a not implemented exception. In this case, what we want to do is we're going to return a value. Now, if we look at the stat manager, I believe. No, the stat manager doesn't handle all this. What I actually need to do, there was another thing. There was another thing that I had in this game that used the stats. And I can't remember what the class was. I think it is attached to this. Yeah, it's ironically enough just called stats. Now, here we added in some sort of pseudo code that allowed us to calculate a rank. And this part right here is where we are basically creating a random number for the actual rank value. And now we want to pass this off to the online rank class. And since we're not going to actually implement this, we're going to create an interface and we're going to look for the online rank class that is attached to this game object for stats, and then we'll call that. So the first thing we want to do is when this thing starts up, we're going to create a private iRetrieveRank class, and we're going to call this online ranks. Online rank retriever. I think I spelled that correctly. Now, as far as I remember, I don't think I've seen some examples of this before, but what we need to do is let's see if Unity get component by interface. Is it possible to use get component and interfaces? How to get the first component that implements a specific interface. Let's see what this has to do. Get component type of works for older versions of Unity and with onward. Type of I. Okay, so let's try that. So we will do online rank retriever. In fact, we don't even need to know that this is an online rank retriever. We just need to do a rank retriever. So rank retriever equals get component type of I retrieve rank. Does that work? It doesn't like any of this idea. Cannot choose method from method group. You intend to invoke a method. Yes. Works for older version. I believe that the whole code block. Can't use generic method, but this form seems to work fine. Get component type of iFood. Probably too late for. Why is this not? All right, let's try this. Let's try this first and do online rank. Right, and now if we did type of online rank. Why is it giving me expression? Dot alternatively dot get component. You can actually use a generic method. You need 5 now. All right, it says let's try this. Let's just try the interface directly. I retrieve rank. Sure, why not? All right, so let's just do debug.log can get rank. All right, so let's see if this doesn't, let's see if this actually can retrieve rank. And then what we're gonna do is let's save this and we're gonna run the game. And now there's no component attached for retrieving online rank. What? Oh, right, this isn't implementing this correctly. Here, we're just gonna throw not implemented for right now. So we'll run this, and this should return false when we go to... Wait, why didn't it even... Oh, right, because I'm not displaying the console. Okay, get rank is false. Now, if we go to this stats manager here, and we add a new component, and we make this online... Oh, I see why. Hold on a second. This online rank class needs to do, this needs to implement mono behavior and implement the interface. It's been so long. Usually I don't, everything I've been doing in Pixel Vision 8 has been pure C#, so I always forget about Unity's like weird obsession with extending mono behavior in order for it to work. So here we will extend mono behavior. We're going to add the component to online rank. And now if we rerun this, let's see, can get rank true. Okay, so the goal of what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it to where online rank can actually, you can just attach any script that implements the iRetrieve rank, and it will get it from wherever. So now we can do exactly what we're doing right here. So here's what we want to write. So if rank retriever equals null, return an empty string, right? So we can't give you back anything if we don't have the rank retriever. Next, we're going to tell the rank retriever to get rank. We're going to call this player name or player session. I don't know. We don't really have, since this is just like, right now, this is just test code. The rank we want is the stat that's getting passed in. And then the last thing should be the value itself. So what we'll do is we need to get the stat value. I copied out the random stuff, is what I'm going to do is right here, we're just going to paste in return random range, and this will just give us a random ranking. And then here for the stat, we just need to go ahead and retrieve the stat value. So when we generate out our stat text, we call the stat manager get stat value, and we convert it to an int. But I don't think we want to do that here. That was just for displaying. So let's not remove it. Let's not convert it to an int. All we're going to do now is we're going to call get rank. We're going to pass in a session, player session, whatever that is. We're going to pass in the name of the stat itself, and then we'll do the ranking. And now just to make sure that this is working correctly, let's go ahead and write a debug log and make sure we're getting get rank. We'll do the stat label and the value. I hear my dog scratching at the door. It's always kind of annoying. That's the other thing. I didn't have a dog when I used to stream, and now I have a dog, and the dog requires attention, of which I cannot offer it. All right, let's restart this now and rerun it. So, technically, this should work exactly how it did before, where when the game is over, it's going to randomly generate out a rank, but that is now coming from our like dummy class. And here are all of our ranks, and we have 5th place. Now, if we were to, let's stop this. Let's remove this component and rerun the game. You'll see that we just don't get a rank. And we could do some other stuff that's like sort of clever to make sure that we don't, that we basically don't show the final rank, because if the rank if the rank component doesn't exist, then we obviously can't show the rank. So let's die. So now you'll see it'll say your global rank is blank. So let's clean that up real quick, and we can do that in the stats by making sure if the rank retriever, let's see, when we go to show you your global stats, your final score, great. So now if global if rank retriever is not equal to null, then we will show that value. All right, so sorry, I see there's some comments. I'm just trying to get this code sort of working, then I'll take a look at the comments. But that should do it now. So as you can see, since there's no online score manager, we no longer have a way of showing the score, or at least showing the final rank. It just shows you the score. And a big part of what I try to architect here are games where when systems don't work, I basically have them default grade or like degrade gracefully. So so this way, let's say like for some reason the player is playing and they're not online, we clearly can't show the online rank. Therefore, let's just show you what your score is if the game is able to do that. So, all right, now all of this is working. What I want to do now is go back here and re-add the online rank class. And I want to break out this interface into its own class. So let's create a new folder here. And we're going to just call this scoring. And what we're going to do is let's collect all of the classes. So there's online rank. There should be stats somewhere, right? Isn't there a stats class? UI stats. Right? So you're about to move 2 files. Let's just move them. I don't know if Unity is going to freak out. No, it's still able to find them. Good. Then let's create a new interface called iRetrieveRank. And let's go here. We'll pull out this interface and put this into the iRetrieveRank. Now, online rank will implement this, and we should be good to go. Let's restart this and try it again. So now, because I added the online rank game object back to the stats game object, we should have a rank shown at the end. And good. Now we have all the rank. We can see that all the different labels are working correctly. They're being called in, and we're getting the score. And because we're testing the rank, we can see that anything like that's past 10th place, which I should fix this. Anything that's not in the top 10 is basically grayed out. So let's go and do one last thing. In stats, I have something here where I calculate. Or I calculate the stat value, and it should if it is less than or equal to 10. That will fix that problem. It was bothering me, like anything from the top. I wanted to just highlight the top 10. And there's still like a lot of stuff that we can go in and clean up, but right now that's it. So if you're working with another developer, especially like in this case here, I can now give them a concrete example. Online rank. Let's actually rename this. Refactor, rename. Online rank example. Well, we'll just leave it as online rank. Whatever. I don't need to boil the ocean here. Basically, you can now implement your own version of an iRank retriever, add it to the game object, the stats game object, and then that should give you all of the rankings that you need. So, let's see. I was just looking back over at the chat. I guess when the Pomodoro timer is up, I'll go back through the chat and sort of catch up. I want to. All right, so all this is working. I just want to take a look at what my tasks were. So create an interface and test these classes. Oh no, my mouse died for a second. There we go. I got the new Razer mouse. I forget what they call it, but it's the one that's the inductive surface. And I think I was not thinking about it, but I was holding the mouse off of the surface for a few seconds, and it only holds a charge for like 10 seconds, so it just died. All right, so that works. Fix Zombie based on screen width. Cool. So the next thing really is just to make all text load from game text class. Fix checking project out from Git. All right, so the next two things that I want to do are going to be fixing the text. I hate this font. I need to use a better font, so that one that's monospaced, so when the score is increasing, it's not like jumping all over the place. So we're going to replace all the fonts in the game. And then the other thing is that I want to make sure that we can fix checking the project out from Git. So what we'll do is we'll just make sure that everything sort of works correctly. Fix checking it out from Git. That's a big one. In fact, what we'll do is we're going to take a little break. I need to stand up for a second and do my stretches. We're going to save the game. We'll fix the font, and then we'll do all the Git testing. So while we do that, what we should just do is let's go to GitHub. I want to check out. Last night I set up a new project. I have a few private projects that I've been setting up, and one of them is art packs. And what I was just doing is just going through and collect, like, these are all the art packs I'm trying to clean up for Pixel Vision 8. But in here I have like collections of fonts and graphics, and part of what I'm going to do during the stream is a bunch of pixel art stuff. So I wanted to just clone this project real quick and get this set up. Generally, art is like a bad thing to sort of put on to put in GitHub, but it seemed a little easier to moving it back and forth from here. So let me create a new terminal thing. Let's do so git check out this project, and while I do my not a Git repository or any other. Oh, what? Yeah, I get that part. Git checkout. Failed. Not a Git repository or any of the parent repository. It's not Git. Am I like missing something? Did I like? Am I not able to git clone anymore? Git clone. Print working directory. What was I doing before? Oh, git checkout. I'm an idiot. Okay, git clone. There we go. Yeah, thanks. I should look at the chat. All right, so that should just check out all my little art project stuff, and then now I can actually keep this stuff in sync with my main computer. But I wanted to start getting back. I do like doing pixel art stuff and cleaning up pixel art stuff in during the stream, so that should be good. All right, let's log this and take a quick break. I'm just gonna stand up, create interface or test class. Right, so this is good. This is all good. All right, let's go back through the questions or questions or whatever and see what people have been saying for the past, I don't know, 25 minutes while I've been working. So, Elise, I believe that's how I pronounce your name. I feel like I say that wrong. You were talking about publishing some game. I wasn't actually following, and for some reason, I can't get I need to mouse pointer. There we go. I'm trying to. I'm using remote desktop to actually see my PC on my tablet. But I can't scroll up on the comments. Let's see. So you're talking about uploading some sort of Git project. I went to the search information, drag and drop features. Did you make it in Unity? Yeah. I guess you're having some problem with your project. Oh, here I can scroll now. See, Andrew didn't like the rocks that he drew. Every time I show, earlier I showed a demo with Andrew of his work, and every time I show his work, he hates his work, and then he tells me he's going to redo it. I don't know if he's still in the stream. Then he's going to redo it, and then he winds up getting like half an art pack. Like half of this stuff is just stuff I've gotten from Andrew that I need to go through. Andrew is 2D Heroes, by the way. I had to go through this stuff and like clean up all this stuff. It just gives me like random crap. And then he's like, oh, I hate all that. Let me redo it. And then he redoes it, but then I never get like the finished stuff. So I love that he doesn't like his own artwork. A lot of it's like really good stuff. Like I got to go through. I want to make an endless runner. Once I'm done making this endless runner with the zombie stuff, I have another artist who's actually redoing the zombie art like Nintendo style. But I was going to try to just take this Metroid one and see if I can make an endless runner Metroid in Pixel Vision 8. I thought that'd be like a lot of fun. Let's see. What else do I need to do? So, Elise, I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. You're talking about your game. You're talking about GitHub and whether you're using Unity. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to follow the conversation. I got to get better at following the conversation while I'm working. So, all right. While this is done, let's just take a look at the different fonts. I have some fonts that I've been using for a while now. This Monaco's font might actually work, and I believe it is Monospace. I have some other ones which are smaller fonts. I have a really great font from CastPixel, but I don't know if I want to make her font open source. I don't remember what she did with it, but this Monaco's should probably work pretty good. Let's actually let's go into the game, and I'm gonna get rid of this old one. I don't know what that is, but we'll go here and let's look at assets, Super Zombie Runner fonts, and we're gonna copy this over, and then we're gonna get rid of all this bad font stuff. All right. Well, I should have gone water. I'm like running out of steam, but okay, this is fine. I'll work for another. We'll do one more Pomodoro. We're gonna change the font in the game. We're gonna make sure that all the stuff is working on Git, so that I can actually hand this over to Peter. And then this game should be pretty good. I think tomorrow we'll just do some like graphic cleanup stuff. And then I want to start moving over to towards the end of this week doing some Pixel Vision 8 games. And maybe we can take 2D Heroes Upgrade Droid and just start running some demos and start building out like a very simple endless runner in Pixel Vision 8. There's some other stuff that I wanted to do too. I have like so many projects. I'm like actually glad to be back streaming. So, hey, Division 8 Studios. Yes, I know I haven't been streaming in a long time. I was just talking about how excited I am to be streaming again. What we'll do is, you know, in between my travels, we'll just build some cool game stuff. So that's the best I can offer. Let's see. Our break is over. Let's go back into Unity now. One thing I want to do. Let me just quit out of all this stuff and let's just commit the project real quick. I'm about to change the fonts. That's going to break everything. Historically, I've not had very good luck with Unity and UI. So let's see if we can just make sure that we don't break anything. Git status. So let's add all this stuff. And this project is using submodules, which is sort of a... you donated... How did you donate $1? Oh, did I have a donate thing still up? I got to clean up that. I got to clean up the Twitch page. Oh, hey, one thing I should check. So I'm trying something new. Oh, hey, look at this. This is brilliant. This is the CPU temperature. You probably can't see, it's really small, but it's 51 degrees. I put my laptop in my drawer. I don't know if I should, but like the noise was killing me for the streaming. So I put the laptop in the drawer and I was just making sure that the temperature isn't too bad, and it seems to be doing just fine. I'm gonna put a little fan in my drawer so it can just like push the air out, but other than that, it should be good. Okay, so I was talking about submodules. Basically, submodules are a way of adding another Git project into a Git project. So if we take a look here at Chrome and we go to GitHub, Jesse Freeman, and we take a look at my beautiful mug, I have some projects here. Outside of the private ones, you'll see that I have a Super Zombie Runner and I have utools. So utools is just a bunch of tools that I've written over the past few years that are in all of my games. I've just sort of abstracted them out, and they're not very well tested. Over time, as I continue to build games like Super Zombie Runner and clean up some of my other stuff, I will continue to clean them up. But if you look at this Super Zombie Runner project, you'll see here that in the assets folder is a reference to utools. So this allows me to keep some of the core libraries separate from the actual games. It just means you have to do a little bit of extra work when working with a submodule. So the first thing we need to do is basically do... you got to go into the actual submodule itself and do git status. So here you can see I'm inside of the submodule. Let me clear this up. Git status. So I'm now inside of the submodule. It looks like the head is detached, which is always awesome. Git branch. I always forget how to fix... How am I going to fix that? Fixed a git detached head. Git checkout master. All right, so this will restore the file in the state it was before you made it. Okay, I gotta just recheck this out, but I want to make sure that I don't lose the stat manager. So what we'll do is assets, utools. Where did I put this? Achievements, stat manager. Let's just copy this over to the desktop. And now git check out master. Oh, good. It still saved it. Git branch. I feel like I had a branch. Maybe I wasn't doing branches on this thing. No, I only have a branch. Okay, I only have master. That's fine. All right, so git add all git status. So now in the submodule itself, we are at the correct branch, and we're going to commit this back to the repo. So git push all. Oops, git commit and updates to stat manager. Actually, we should be more descriptive. We removed time field from stats manager and replaced with stat API call. All right, so we'll push this live, and once we've pushed this, let's just go and double check that it went. So if we refresh this now, utools, we should see that we've removed time field and we've updated. So now this submodule is updated, and now what we need to do is let's clear this, go up 2 directories, and we'll print the working directory, and we'll see that we're in the Super Zombie runner. And now we can do git status, and we now just need to re-add the changes we made to the submodule. So git add all git status, and you'll see everything is now here. So we'll clear this out, and we're going to do git commit m. What did we do? We fixed scoring. We fixed scoring. We'll just leave it at that. So git push all. And now if we clear this and do git status, we should see that everything is up to date. So now let's see. We basically have all this stuff done. We've backed everything up. Let's quit this. We'll quit this, and we'll close this out, and let's go back into Unity, and let's make sure that we haven't broken anything. All right, so now we are running this, and game looks good. If we pause it, we can see all of our stats. We get our current task, and now when the player dies, we can see our fake ranks, and everything else is working out really well. So there is one thing I noticed that's bothering me that I just want to fix real quick. I want to make the ranking the ordinal. I think is what we learned last time that this thing is called. I want to make the ordinal uppercase. So let's do that, and then we're going to change the font, and then I got to go eat something because pretty soon my stomach's already rumbling, and you're just going to hear the rumbling on the through the microphone, which is not a great thing to do. Why is this not expanding out? There we go. So in the scoring class stats, there should be, we can get rid of this stuff. Where is the ordinal? Add an ordinal, and we'll just do to upper, which should fix that. Test that out real quick, and then we'll go and we'll fix the font. Dead. All right, so 7th, 4th, 13th. So I've just made all these uppercase, and we're good to go. Okay, so now that we've changed that, here's what I want to do. Let's start with Let's go into the canvas and let's take a look at our continue text. And we're going to start here. I want to, first off, we're going to go in and let's see if I remember how to do this correctly with fonts. So we now have this Monocon's font, and I feel like there was a way that we can convert it into some sort of material. I just don't remember how. Create editable copy. Cannot generate editable font asset for dynamic fonts. Please re-import font in a different mode. So let's make this Unicode. And we're going to create an editable copy. All right, let's apply. And now this will create a copy of Monaco's. And the thing that's important about this and why we do this is that we actually just converted the font into a texture. And what we can do here now is we can go through and fix this to point and remove the compression and hit apply. So now the text will be nice and sharp when we add it. And we're going to rename this to TTF, and we're just going to call this Monaco's. And let's just go and we'll replace the material and the actual font itself. So now that we replace this font with a texture, let's go to continue text and let's see if we can just swap out this guy. And it doesn't display. Eight. All right, so 16, 8. It might, I think if it's any bigger, it might just not, like let's set this to 4. All right, cool, it seems to be working. I bet you the text area isn't, like I had it to, yeah, right. If I set this now to 16, there we go. Okay, so that's basically how we set this font. I changed the overflow, by the way, truncate. It just means that the area for the text wasn't big enough to display it. So when I made the font bigger, it just got ugly and disappeared. But align, I don't know what this new align by geometry is, but that's like a whole new thing. All my other text was broken before. So yeah. Anyways, so now this font is there, and cool. One of the neat things about the way that Unity works is that it doesn't really generate out the font correctly. Effect color. So what's happening is I'm changing the font color to red, but because when it generates out this texture, it's in black. What we need to do is, let's take a look at this in the Finder, and we're going to need to invert that into white. And we're just going to open up Photoshop. I just hit Command-I, I save it, and then I quit Photoshop. And now when we go back into Unity, you'll see that the text is now red. Now, I don't believe I made this thing bold. I don't think I have a bold, but I don't mind so much. What I really want to see though is if the I can't remember, the font is monospace. So let's take a look at the score stuff. There should be a score text here, and let's change the font. And let's make this Monaco's as well. We're going to change the size to 8. And there's line spacing. There's no text spacing. This text is like a little bit big, but I do believe that this is a mono-spaced font. So now if we rerun this, what should happen is you see that the font is no longer jumping around like it was before, because the characters are each of the characters and the number are the same size. My only problem is I think this font is like really, I don't like this font for this game. So let's, it is nice that it's not jumping around though. So we're getting closer. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try to find I'm going to use one of Cast Pixels fonts that I have, and we'll just see if that works a little bit better. So let's go into projects, art packs, fonts. Well, I do have another one from Pedro, this Minimal 5. Let's try this one. Minimal 5 is really good too. Like, I feel like because the way that the game is so zoomed in, right? Like the pixel art's like really big. What we're looking for is we're trying to find a font that's as big and blocky as the pixels are for the character, so it doesn't look out of place. So again, let's go ahead and let's try to do this again. So we're going to take the Minimal 5. We're going to call this True Type Font TTF. We're going to change it to Unicode. And then we're going to hit apply. Its default size should be 8 because this is a small pixel font, right? And then we're going to click on the little gear icon and create an editable copy. And then from here, we can just rename this to Minimal 5. And before we really get into switching out the texture and all that stuff, let's just go and look at the score and change this to Minimal 5 and see if we like it. Now let's make this font size 16. Oh, the other thing we need to do is we definitely need to go in here and we need to change the filter mode to point and change the quality compression to none. And it looks like setting that to 8 just made it too small. So let's just delete this whole font and then go back here and let's set this back to 16. We want this to be OS default. We'll hit apply and then we're going to regenerate out an editable copy. And before we go any further, let's just go to score. Let's set this to this and let's go ahead and let's take a look at the font. And we're going to set it back to point and to no compression and hit apply. So that's looking a lot better. And now if we come into the score here, we can actually probably set this to like 18 or let's see, what was it at 6/18/32, right? So let's do 24. And then we could change the line spacing to be like 0.5. And it's looking a little bit better. I still feel like maybe 32 is the best. We need to test it out on smaller resolutions so that it's not butting up against this here. One of the things we can probably do is just get rid of space between here, or let's just go back to 24. And I'm going to clean this up in a second so it looks a little bit better. I just want to make sure that everything here is aligned by geometry. I have no clue what that really does, but whatever. All right, let's go into the font and let's just open this up in Photoshop and just invert the color so we can change it. Yeah, goodbye Photoshop. And now we can change the text. The only thing that's bothering me is like it looks really, like it looks a little blurry. And I think that might have to do something with just the scaling right now. Like if we went back to this. All right, so that's clean. But what I'm noticing is that the drop shadow is a little off. So let's go to score. The drop shadow I'm doing sort of dynamic. Let's move this to like 2 and 2. Maybe we just get rid of the drop shadow. Nope, it looks ugly. 1.5, which you shouldn't be able to do. Like Unity is like completely not set up for pixel art at all. Like what I'm seeing is there's like a little bit of an overlap here. In fact, I think what we should probably, like if we were to do this correctly, we would just add another font behind it. But let's see if we can get this drop shadow working correctly. Because I think this scale is going to be, well, all right. This is what we're getting for right now. Let's just rerun this and see if the text looks good. I'm still not like sold by this font is the problem. Now it is monospace and it is working, so we will give it that. But the drop shadow looks terrible, and no drop shadow looks even worse. I think this font's just a little too tiny. All right, let's see what our next option is. Yeah, this font's a little too small. I might just have to go find another font. I don't think Caspixel will mind if I... Like, this 8x8 bold will probably be exactly what I need. So let's try this. Let's change this to Unicode. Let's set this to OS default. Let's apply, and then we're going to create an editable copy. We will go to the texture and we will set this to point and none. Hit apply. And let's go to our score text and drag this new font. Oops, we need the copy over. Oh, that looks good. That looks a lot better. So 0.8. And because the pixels are, it's a lot chunkier, like the drop shadow looks a lot cleaner. The only thing is there's a lot more gap between things. I don't know why. But we can do this, and if we set this to 1024 by 7, it's not encroaching, so that's good. Not every resolution is going to work, obviously, but try to just get some base like this low. I mean, that's a super stupid low resolution, so let's not even worry about that. I wonder if there's a way I can abbreviate score. All right, I think this 8x8 font is going to be what we go with. So let's invert this, save it, and come back here and do 16:9. So we run this. Is our font not monospace? Oh no, now it is. I guess it just had like a little jump in the beginning. That was weird. Is 1 not monospaced? Oh no, why is this font should be monospace? It literally says mono. Unity. All right, so I got rid of the align by geometry. So I wonder if the other font had a problem with align by geometry, but it actually, this one looks a lot cleaner. So I might just go with this font. I wonder if we did /n. Whoops. I wanted to have this on 2 lines so I can make this a little bit more compressed. But all right, let's go through and let's replace all the fonts. First off, let's get rid of all of this other stuff. And then here we're going to get rid of well, we'll leave this. We'll just call this TTF for the TrueType font. And then here we'll get rid of this stuff. Oops, we'll get rid of, I just want to get rid of the word copy at the end. All right, so now what we can do is we can select all of the text. Let's just do that here. So we're going to do, we're going to look for a type, and we're going to call it text, and we'll start bit by bit. Let's do it. We're going to take all the text and we're just going to replace the font, and then we'll go back through and we'll change all the sizing later. And we'll get rid of this align by geometry, And now all of this text is going to be set at 16, font size 16. So we can see the text at the bottom here is a little bit bad. This one's wrong too. So we're going to need to go through and then that's our final score. So let's take a look at stats real quick and let's see if we made this 8. That's going to be too small. And 16 is too big. I guess we can go 12. I mean, this isn't going to be pixel perfect, so I'm not terribly worried. So, all right, so let's make the stats text 12, right? And then we want to look at the achievement text. Whoops. The whatever version of this Unity is, it hates my mouse. So clicking on the center click wheel like also zooms in as it moves. Let's run the game, and then when the achievement pops up, first off, this text at the bottom here, this message text, should be 8. Right? So let's stop this and let's set this to 8. Then the next set of text that we want to clean up is going to be the achievement, right? So this achievement text should be 24, 32, that's a little too big, 28. All right, so let's make that 28, but I'm going to copy this rect here, copy component. So whenever you stop Unity and you restart Unity, it like resets the value. So we're going to paste the component values back in, and we're going to leave this as 28. Now let's rerun this and see what the achievement looks like. So that looks a lot better. I don't know why the exclamation mark was off. But okay, so we have that. We have our total time. The text at the end is good. I feel like we're in a much better place now with the font. Like the font's not jumping around. We have a combo. Let's take a look real quick at when we do the score text stuff. I want to make sure that I want to try to free up a little bit more room. So if we're on lower resolution, so let's do game manager and score. So here's the score. So here's our score text. Let's just look for this component score. So let's do /n and /n. And then that'll just, and then whenever we get a combo, we should put the combo to the message at the bottom of the screen, but that might be too much work for right now. So let's just see if we can get the score to be on 2 lines and the time to be on 2 lines. All right, there we go. So that's looking a little bit better. What we need to do is, let's change the line spacing to 5. Oops, I lost it because I need to restart the game. 7. And let's make this 16, 18. 24. 32. Interesting. I was just looking at this drop shadow and where it starts giving us problems. So at 16, it doesn't give us like little bleed here. So, but if we went to like 18, it starts not aligning correctly. And 20 will probably give us the same. Yeah, okay, so we have to stay within intervals of 16 because that's the way the font was made. So that's fine. I mean, the score isn't a critical thing where we need to have it be really large. I think the goal is to, I should actually make that pause button smaller. The goal really is to focus on this, but I just want to see the combo. The combo is good. We should figure out a way to get the combo message to pop up at the bottom. But, all right. So let's, that's one thing I wanted to see. We're going to go through and we're going to try to clean up the score real quick. And then we'll call this a day. So I think the text is good. I just wanted to see when a combo comes up, what, how much we should pad the score so that it matches up with the combo text. But I keep dying. All right, so what we should probably just do is make the combo text show up on 2 lines too, or make it 1 line. So it should just be like 3x combo. And all right, so let's clean up the text like that. So that should just be a new line. X combo, because then that's let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 wait 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 9 D, well, we can do it as 6 and call it a day, and then we're gonna get rid of this, get rid of this, and now this should be a little bit cleaner. So all we needed to do here was, let's make this point, I think 0.7 looked better. And we'll apply the same thing here to the time, where the line spacing is 0.7. Leave this here and here. And can I make this pause button smaller? Did I change the scale at all here? I don't even know what size I made it. All right, whatever. Let's leave it as is. This should just basically be the last modification. So we now have a score. We have our time. Now let's just see what a combo looks like when it comes up. Whoops. Get a combo of 8. Yep. Well, I have to not die. All right, so that looks good. We'll get a combo going again. So I like that. Hey, we're having a good run. Let's just keep going. Let's see how far we can make it. Can we do it? Can we get all the way to the end? There is no end. I'm just kidding. I just want to see how the score adds up and stuff as we do combos. Oh no, boom. All right, so 45 seconds. So our total time was 40. Why is that 46 padded like that? That should have been 47. Whatever, we'll leave it as is. Total steps, great. Zombies avoided, 0. That's interesting. Maximum combo 0. Obstacles jumped. All right, so it looks like we have some bugs here. So let's do this before we log in the. So what do we wind up fixing in this one? We fixed the zombies based on width. No, we did. We fixed the font. Now there's some bugs that we need to do. Look into why zombies, combos, and dogs are not tracking. Also, there was something else I saw that I didn't like. But I can't really fix that right now. We'll just end here. We'll submit this, and the game is sort of basically running now. So let's save this. Let's also go in and we're going to delete the Nokia font. We'll delete this guy. I'm also going to delete the TTF of this font just so that we have just the graphic. And the last thing we need to do is let's go into the scenes and go into the splash scene. And we're going to need to fix the title font here and change this to the 8x8 wide. And let's set this to 32. 64. And let's just fix this text real quick. Super Zombie Runner. And I believe this had a move to end, set end, move to start. All right, that's fine. So this is a custom tween layer thing that I wrote. So I want to make sure that when this thing builds up, that the text goes to the right place, and we're missing the start text. So this should just be 8x8 wide, and we want to make this font size 32. Let's just see if this shows up correctly. Press spacebar to start. Yeah, we should make the width a little bit bigger. But I feel like that font looks pretty good. All right, so the only thing I want to do is move, like this should be, where's the move to end? Actually, let me just replay this real quick and then we'll see where it needs to move to. Should be better aligned with this. So the end position right now is 101, 101, set end. All right, so this 101. Now, if we rerun this, this should build up correctly. We'll start the game. Oh man, I'm sorry. Was that sound going on the whole time? I didn't realize that I was recording that sound. Ugh. Hopefully you guys weren't getting blasted by that volume. I got to figure out a better way of splitting out the audio from the system, and so you guys don't get that by accident. Sorry. Still working on the logistics of this stream. All right, so that should be working now. Everything looks good. So let's stop this real quick. And before I call it a day, which I'm a little bit over my time, but I want to make sure that all this is good. Let's quit this. Let's quit this. And I just want to make sure that everything is working now on Git. Why were there no fonts in that folder? Oh, there they are. Okay, so let's go to Documents. Let's go to Projects, Super Zombie Runner, and we're going to go through and we're going to check in all the changes, and then we're going to recheck the project out from scratch and just make sure that it works, especially with the Git submodules. So let's do Git status, and we'll do Git add. And then let's see what's been added. So all this stuff has been added to the main project. So Git commit fixed font. And let's do Git push, and we'll push all this back to the Git repo. So now everything should be working as expected. And one of the things that we're going to want to do now is try to figure out if you can actually check this out yourself. So what we need to do is, I'm just looking up some things real quick for the commands for the Git submodules. Fortunately, there's some tricks. Okay, so let's go and let's clear this and move up a directory. So now we are in our projects folder, and I'm going to recheck out this project. So let's go to GitHub, and we'll go to my projects, and we're going to look for Super Zombie Runner, and we're going to get we're going to copy this URL for the Git repo. And now what we're going to do is, so we're in this projects folder. Let's clear terminal, and we're going to do git clone. We'll paste this in, and we're going to call this Super Zombie Runner Test. We're going to check this whole thing out. Now, if we were to run this right now or open this up, what's basically going to happen is that we're going to get errors because this project uses a submodule. So here we're going to go and we're going to cd into the actual folder, and we'll clear this screen. And then what we need to do is we need to git submodule update init. And this is going to load up the submodule, which is the utools project that's embedded in it. It's going to check it out and it's going to put it into our folder. Now we can verify that this works by looking at the Super Zombie Runner test, going into assets, and you'll see now that we have utools. So if let's delete this for a second and show you what would happen. Let's move this to the trash. Go up a directory, print working directory. We're in the trash. So we'll close out of this, and we're going to create a new terminal instance, and I'll sort of show you